Hey, what's going on, guys? We are live at the table. Today we got Chad Earls as a special guest. I'm Caden.
I am David.
And as always, I'm Dalton.
All right, so
So yeah, you guys can, I'm sure, tell if you've watched a couple of them. We've made some changes here. We think with interviews and guest stars, we really just want to, kind of have a different, more comfortable feel. Not just for us, but for the people on the podcast.
we also just need more room as well. So
that's part of it for
this
sure.
works out perfectly.
Most
I
definitely.
hope at least.
So Chad, how you feeling today?
Feeling wonderful. Excited for an interview. I've never been interviewed before, so
We're definitely excited to have you on the show. Heard great things, know great things about you. Excited to get to hear a little bit more about the inner workings of your mind.
Yeah, man. And we've never interviewed someone before, so you have that going for you. This is a first for all of us.
my mind is not that exciting, but we'll get into it.
I don't believe that, but we'll see. You guys can be the judge. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So I guess one of the first things we kind of wanted to talk about today was just, I'm sure everybody knows, Drake dropped an album, and I guess we kind of just wanted to hear
Playlist.
A playlist.
Let's go.
That is important. That is important.
Just kind of wanted to, get first thoughts and some distinction, more just opinions, I guess, on what you guys kind of thought. So how you feeling? What'd you think?
Honestly, I really have enjoyed it, and this is coming from someone who I thought Views was okay.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty okay.
Yeah,
honestly.
It has
okay.
a couple songs in there that I definitely find myself listening to. I'm like, oh, that's a banger. I could definitely get into that. This playlist, it just had like a really fun club vibe to it. Most of it.
Yeah, he definitely went more of that dance hall vibe, and also went to the UK grime scene too. He definitely just branched out to a lot of different influences for this playlist.
Well,
so.
If anything, I thought it was extremely diverse too. I mean, like you said, it goes from a grime scene to this dance hall Caribbean club vibe to,
Drake classic where he's doing a ballad, Take Care.
I was gonna say there were a lot of songs.
He's got a lot of songs that feel like Take Care to me.
Exactly.
For
That kind of
sure.
sound like his older stuff.
Yeah.
I really thought that too, honestly.
Big Sean super duper flow.
And it even still comes in with some songs that remind me of If You're Reading This Is Too Late. I think Glide Chaser is one of those.
Yeah, I really liked that one, but
Ice blooming.
yeah, some people were saying it was disappointing. I didn't really understand.
Okay, when he goes, I don't take naps.
Dude, that was the best part. I heard that and I was like, I gotta stop taking naps.
My money ain't got time for that.
It was just too much breathing room. That's got to be in passing. That can't be it was like a climax.
I thought it was
I don't
hard.
take naps.
Yeah, I thought it was hard.
But I'll say with that song, that is one of the one songs I've listened to in the last couple of years where I literally think I could listen to the instrumental and the ad-libs and get hyped as fuck the entire time. Yeah. It just pumps right into it, and the entire time I'm loving it. I'm always vibing. And then, then he throws out songs like Blim, which that's straight up Lionel Richie all night sampling that. Oh night. And I'm just like, oh shit. I'm like, and he's talking about getting high as fuck off some weed right now, dealing with his girl.
He's again, like Caden said, he's just pulling from cold. That's straight up a UK slang term.
100%.
That's grime. That's what that is.
Yeah.
As Caden knows, I've been getting into grime quite a bit here recently, and so hearing gigs on a Drake album was pretty surprising to me.
That's why I think the term playlist is so important.
Yeah, I do too.
Because it's so diverse. And think about I was reading this article today on Fader, so I can't take credit for this, but think about Spotify and how popular Spotify has a lot to do with the Rap Caviar playlist and the current, they have those playlists as some of their biggest streams, and curating the music is so important as to what comes after what, and
definitely.
having different styles fit with each other. And so that's why I think he went with the playlist thing, but I don't know. I think it's.
And I also just think,
typical.
For an artist as big as Drake, I feel like he almost has to, pull influence from somewhere else at some point, or else it gets stale. Yeah, exactly.
It's just the same thing over and over again.
And I feel like that's why he gets called culture vulture a lot. But I don't even think that should be a thing, honestly.
But the way I also was thinking about today, I think it's also really noble of him because pretty much Drake has the power at this point in time. If he puts someone on his album, they're
Drake's
instantly going to get 100,000 plays extra, if not 10 times that. So guys like Giggs and Skepta, who he puts on this album that aren't necessarily well known.
Those guys are legends.
But not to the American,
not to American, not to me,
not to
the Drake audience.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But like
So
where they're from, Skepta is literally considered like one of the greatest grime artists of all time.
No,
He's
not
a
disagreeing
legend,
with
like
that, but it puts him onto a whole nother level
Definitely,
of people
though.
that he's reaching now.
That's very true.
Just because Drake
it happened
puts
with
him on
Migos
a
and
playlist.
I Love McConan.
Well,
Exactly.
like honestly, to lend some credit to that, Skepta recently dropped like a single, and I saw like a week ago it had like 2.5 million plays after like 3 days, and I saw it yesterday and it was up to like 10 million
Well,
plays.
that's like where grime music is hosted too on YouTube. It's like all on YouTube.
Because
so.
like I mean, what I've learned through Caden is they're huge for their diss tracks,
Yeah,
man.
they
Like
call
they're
it-
from
sending for each other.
Yeah.
for you.
Like
Yeah.
they just they don't their albums are good, but like where they really shine is just like dissing each other and like making call outs, and it's honestly they're phenomenal at it.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, the flows, the beats. It's like a culture shock for sure at first.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's definitely something to get into. And I'm glad that Drake is putting on artists like that.
Yeah.
You
that's
can
really
tell
cool.
just the content base of what they're like. What Giggs is rapping about is different than what you
Completely
would hear an
different.
American rapping about. Just
Absolutely.
as far as the content and what he's talking about.
That whole Batman thing was kind of funny.
I know. Dun-dun-dun. I was like, damn, that's kind of cool.
Someone I saw on Twitter said, "Who told Giggs about Batman?"
Yeah, because that's not even British.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, I'm doing a song on an American album. I gotta throw some American
Batman
shit in there.
hot dogs.
Yeah.
Batman.
Oh man.
But overall, yeah, I like the album. I thought or playlist, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, my favorites were the features.
Really?
You think?
Really?
Yeah.
What was your favorite feature?
The Young Thug,
on
yeah.
I was
on
about to say,
Sacrifices,
same
bro.
thing.
Literally the best verse on the whole album.
Yes, hands down. I've
Yeah.
never heard Thug barred up so hard.
Yeah.
Where
And he switches his flow and
literally-
cadence 3 different
Exactly.
times.
Like he
dude.
starts it out with typical bars, which is the opposite of Young Thug, and then goes into the normal.
Like it's
Young
very
Thug.
like
It's almost like he's saying, "Wait, I can do that too."
Yeah.
It's like I know you guys want bars from me, but I can do that. But that's not what I want.
exactly.
I feel that a lot in Thug's music, man.
Yeah.
Like I feel
Yeah.
like one of his biggest things is just like that change up. Like you can listen to a
Yeah.
Thug album and if you don't know it, you can think that you're listening to features and it's just still Thug.
Exactly.
Like
I felt like Ice Melts was a beat like straight off of Jeffrey or something.
I feel like
I
Ice
did
Melts,
get
they were
that heavy
trying to
vibe
recreate
there.
Jeffrey.
Yeah,
And
for
that's-
Drake at that point.
For
Yeah.
Drake, and that's the issue I have when people say Drake's a culture vulture. I understand because he's not a guy that says, I'm gonna go in and make a Drake track with 40 that sounds like something brand new out of Toronto,
Yeah.
and then feature Young Thug on it. He doesn't do that.
Yeah.
He goes in and says, Young Thug's really good at this,
Yeah.
and this is what I liked on Jeffrey, so we're gonna
Exactly.
try to recreate that and put it on my album so that I get all the streams.
And the thing is like Drake can do that because he's just, I mean, almost as versatile like as Thug in a different sense. But he was the first guy who could rap and sing like
that's
perfectly. Almost.
that's very true. I don't know about the first, but he's probably the first very, very popular guy to
What's
do
that
I mean,
song?
definitely not the first. Like there was like Nate
Oh,
Dogg.
baby, you
got what
Biz
I
Markie.
need.
Biz Markie started the singing and rap, bro. Don't
Okay.
I'm not
Okay,
saying he was
okay.
starting it, but I'm just saying he was the first guy that was majorly successful for both.
took it to the level that
Yeah.
he did.
Very
Yeah.
sure.
I
So
mean,
I
very
guess then talking about the like taking people's style, I'm sure you know XXX.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
What do you think about that? Do you think he just straight up ripped it? Do you believe that he didn't know XXX?
I would believe that Drake has never heard of XXX, but what I bet happened is Drake walks into the studio, 40 says, I have this beat, I want you to flow like this. In all honesty, I think that OVO is a board of people that gets together and decides what they want the next album to sound like or what they want the next single to sound like, and that's what they go for. And Drake takes the instructions. He may be in charge of it all, but he is still getting input from all
Yeah,
these other
I mean,
people.
they're definitely-
He's still
They
under-
say,
and if
"I
he's
want you to-
smart,
this is
he's-
what's popular. How does XXX become the most popular rapper on Twitter and SoundCloud in the same month Drake has that flow? There's
Right.
no way that it didn't have an
Coincidentally,
influence.
right.
It's not like
Well,
that.
it just-
and Drake is known for that. So it's like,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
it may not have come from Drake listening to him and being like, I want to recreate this, but it definitely somehow permeated OVO.
Well,
and they
and
wanted
you
to
know
go for
those
that.
guys are on SoundCloud and Twitter looking for artists
That's
like
all they
that,
do.
blowing up to who
Exactly.
they can first off put on or what are people
Or
listening
sign,
to.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it
Absolutely.
also comes with a sense of being a fan too. I don't think they're purposely listening to SoundCloud rappers.
Let's steal it.
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, I think they're just listening, obviously,
But
for
yeah,
new
I
cool
can totally
shit.
see them hearing that song and just being like, "Damn, that was dope!" Like,
How
we should do
can we
something like
recreate
that.
this? Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, I also look at it, and if you're the SoundCloud guy, which I can understand, you don't have nearly as much fame or power or money. But to me, that's also like, damn, that's pretty dope.
But
Drake tried to steal my flow.
I'm with you.
Yeah, but Drake's
when
getting
it's
paid off it, and
uncredited,
you're not.
Yeah,
when it's
exactly.
uncredited,
No, you gotta
I
pay
can see why
homage.
you can get mad and jump on that. Like,
Yeah.
what Caden said, you gotta pay homage. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta let people know. Yes, this is who my influence was here.
The right way to do it would be to do a Drake track and feature XXX.
Absolutely.
Like, if you really care about the industry, or not the industry, but the music or
And-
the artist, then you're going to bring him on and help him not take his flow.
I totally agree.
And say, I never heard of him.
I mean,
like,
yeah,
that's
he's
the
done
biggest
that
diss of
before.
all,
See,
is to say,
I never heard of you.
Most
Yeah.
definitely.
Now, see,
most
I'm with
definitely.
you in that I think it's very possible that Drake never has heard of him.
Yeah.
Like, and that it
But
was
somebody
his
in the
guy.
camp has.
Right, and somebody definitely had heard of
Yeah,
him, but maybe Drake didn't have a clue, you know. And so when he says that, I can see how you could make the comparison, but nah.
Yeah.
So that's somebody else needs to step in and be like, wait, though, dude,
I
did.
I agree, but at the same time, think about the kind of artist that's going to go into the studio and say, what do you guys want me to do? What's popular? What's poppin'? What do we want to hit to
And
get
not
the
ask who
mainstream?
it's from.
And not
Or listen.
or not say, I'm going to invent that because I'm the artist. He's
Yeah.
not saying I want to come in and make this new wave.
Yeah.
He's saying, what is the current wave, guys? Tell me so I can recreate it. That is the difference between Drake and Future
Yeah.
to me, or
And that's-
anybody.
and I feel like
but,
that's where like
the culture vulture
like
thing.
the pop star. Like that's why I think he's like a literal pop star.
That's
most
my
definitely, I can
that's my
definitely agree
only
with
thing
that.
about Drake is
Yeah.
I want people to say he's a pop star. And
Exactly.
because pop stars have writers and they have
Exactly.
people feeding them stuff and they have PR teams, just say Drake's a pop star. He's
Well, he
not
is.
And they're the voice and
a
performer.
rapper. Shout out Barely on the sound.
Seriously, shout out to Barrett Bryan for coming in today and monitoring sound to make sure everything sounds good.
Yeah,
for you
really
guys.
appreciate that.
Turn the camera.
Hey, you
on.
guys.
Trying to get everything good for
that
you.
angle sweep to let you see him because shout
Get
out
a
to
remote
you.
control with.
I'm just sure this will be the best one yet.
So we can
was that our cue?
we can all agree that we definitely enjoyed the album. Drake's a pop star. If that's any summary I'll take from
That's
it.
where we left it.
That's all I can gather from the
But pop
conversation
stars,
we
pop
just
stars can make great albums.
Yeah.
and that's-
No, no,
I still listen to
Yeah,
pop music.
Exactly, it's not a sin to be a pop star.
Diamonds on my neck, moonwalk like Michael Jackson. Like Michael
Yeah.
Jackson, that's the greatest pop star of all time.
True.
Justin Timberlake, we got Britney Spears, Madonna, Cher. These are pop stars, and they also all put out great albums.
Yeah, but they're totally different than Drake too, though.
No, it definitely can't. I can agree with that, but it's still the same idea of pop stars.
Comparing Take Care to whatever Justin Bieber's first album was is kind of like disrespectful almost, I feel like.
Well, considering that The Weeknd wrote the majority of Take Care.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, would you compare
Even though
The
like,
Weeknd
like
to Justin Bieber?
No, because The Weeknd was the writer, not the guy
Right.
in the studio getting the writings.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why The Weeknd
I dig
didn't sign with OVO.
Really? Because of the lack of
Well,
credit? And
I don't know the exact details, but I just think that
That makes
there was
sense.
probably some suppression. You know, like
Right.
especially
like,
considering how big he obviously wants to be.
And I don't.
And
I
how
don't
big
even
he
know that.
is.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Well, like, yeah,
he was supposed to sign with OVO and backed out at the last minute and went to Warner Brothers or whatever, something like that.
Well, it makes sense whenever you're trying to be, and I don't necessarily think that The Weeknd's trying to be Drake, but they're kind of in
Michael Jackson.
they're
I
kind
think-
of
yeah.
Michael Jackson.
but
for
they're
sure.
they're kind of in that same wave, like you said, like pop stars. Like Michael
yeah, for
Jackson
sure.
was everything in music when he was there. I think
for
The
sure.
Weeknd wants to be everything we think of in music.
And the thing,
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at like
hard
the
to do that
Weeknd's
now.
first mixtapes and albums, they were much more R&B than the pop.
Those are
sound.
classics.
They were
dude.
incredible.
Those are like amazing.
But I don't mean to just cut us off, but I think one of the main reasons that Chad's here today is we kind of wanted to talk about him and his story and what he's putting out in
Most
terms
definitely.
of music. So I guess if you know anything about Chad, if you don't, he's got a brand behind him, UMBRA TULSA. So I guess before we start asking questions, what would you like to tell us about UMBRA? What is that to you, and like, what do you see at UMBRA? What does that mean? Not necessarily what does the word mean, but
Yeah.
like, what is
Yeah.
UMBRA?
Well, a lot of people actually ask. Umbra is Latin for shadow, so that's where it first came from. I was in young in high school and just into Latin because I don't even know a lot about Latin, but I knew that every language stemmed from Latin, so I kind of found that interesting. And then I was like, just thought Shadow was cool because I was like 14. But the logo is like what made it stick. But Umbra to me is kind of like just a group of people that wants to put out good content, whatever that may be. And it's like a group of people that kind of agree on some basic things and, you know, just want to put out quality stuff that represents Tulsa and put Tulsa on as more of an artistic city than it is perceived as usually. Mm-hmm. It's like people think about Tulsa and it's oil and banking and aerodynamics or aeronautics. And it's like there's so much art here, there's so much music here, and Umbra's just a way to kind of give that a voice, a platform, a stage.
Yeah,
exactly.
I can definitely agree with
one
that.
thing that everyone can promote themselves under, you know?
Oh, yeah. So it's definitely evolved from how you originally started.
100%. Completely evolved. Yeah, awesome. For sure.
So would you actually kind of like walk us through, because, I mean, we talk about the evolution of Umbra, but what was like the early days like? So like whenever you're first getting started, like kind of like walk me through that.
The early days of Umbra. The early days of Umbra consisted of me being at Jinx High School, and I loved school, but I hated schoolwork. So anytime we were supposed to be retweet. Anytime we were supposed to be doing schoolwork, instead of doing my schoolwork, I would just be drawing and doodling and writing out phrases that I liked, like certain words together and certain graphics together. Okay. Just because I hated schoolwork so much. And I found that logo when I was writing Umbra, and I would just write Umbra over and over, and I found that logo just kind of flowed one letter into the next. And as soon as I saw that, it was just like, I don't even know what this is or why it's important, but I like it a lot. And I started writing it everywhere. I got graffiti markers from Clean Hands when they first opened, like 2012 or whatever.
Across the street from the Phoenix.
Yeah, we were at the Phoenix one day, and we saw through the windows all these spray cans. And like we had just watched that Banksy documentary or whatever, and so
gift shop,
which I fucking hate now. But
really,
but
we'll get into that later.
Yeah, but at the time I was super into it, and so we saw these spray cans, and we were just like, holy shit! And we go over, and the dude tries to sell us like on the Vima, like energy drink stuff. But anyway, that's beside the point. We get like graffiti supplies and stuff. Yeah, barely knows. We getting graffiti supplies and stuff, and I just started writing Umbra everywhere for no reason, like Jinx bathrooms and hallways, and I started like Umbra got boring after 500 tags or whatever, so I started coming up with little phrases or little graphics or whatever, and I would spend like a lot of time thinking about these things and put them down through graffiti wherever that was. And they'd be gone so soon. And I was just like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting this here? I'm putting something out that I want people to understand, yet it's disappearing after 2 or 3 days. Mm-hmm. And when I started having that realization, I was like, I want to be able to show these to people. You know, I want these to be permanent. I want these to live for a certain period. So how can I do that? I don't want to make posters. I don't want to, you know, it's hard to think of something that you can get a simple message like that across with. So t-shirts just kind of seem to be, well, it goes back to that Clean Hands thing. We walked into Clean Hands and they have all these shirts. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And not only do they have the shirts, but they have the screens and they have the ink and they have the squeegees. And I'm like, bro, hook me up. I can do that. So it all just kind of came together, and I had some like birthday money that I had saved up, and it was just like, Wiz, the owner and founder, was behind the counter that day, which you can't catch him there anymore, but he was back in the day. He used to be there all the time, and so I just talked to him. He hooked me up on some screens. He got me like half price of everything. Wow. Gave me some free ink and stuff.
That's a great start.
So yeah, it was, and that was inspiring in itself. It was like, whoa, a dude that's doing it cares enough to like help
that potential
the community. Exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And that's where it comes full circle. It's like Umbra is really I want to be that for someone else. You know what I mean? Like I want to be
that's awesome.
That guy that gives you the medium to promote yourself or to put your ideas out there. So that's kind of how it got started with the t-shirts, and it's just carried on since then.
So I guess just to ask, maybe it's a silly question, do you feel like Umbra is like a part of you? Do you feel like it's like I mean, obviously it's a medium expression.
Yeah,
like,
it's a part of me.
It's meaningful, right? It's in your heart.
It's definitely like, I mean, I've I told you I don't really like the name so much anymore.
Right.
So I've definitely had that thought of I need to switch this, I need to change it around, but I just can't do it because the logo. First of all, I'm in love with.
It's a beautiful logo.
Yeah, thank you. And the foundation of it all. I feel like if I change the name or if I change something like that about it, then it would discredit all the early days, and that's what I love so much about it. So yeah, it's definitely a part of me. It's definitely gonna be a part of me forever. I don't know what it's going to evolve into next, but it's so much fun.
Well, that's awesome, man. And I definitely think there's something to be said about like sticking to your roots and like where you came from and like not being afraid of that, because everybody grows and we might look back and go, and I'm more talking on a personal level.
Yeah, no, I cringe about the old stuff all the time. I look at old designs and I'm just like, fuck, no, why did I do that?
That doesn't make them any less important.
Yeah.
Because without them, you wouldn't be where you are today, in my opinion.
100%.
Like, you have to have those to have what you are now.
100%.
Which I think is just a very cool, and it gives people to be able to see that progression of where you came from to
There's
where
evidence. People have it in their clousets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they
repping.
do.
And I've literally worn a few on this podcast.
Yes, it has. We're trying.
But I mean, kind of back to what Dave said about the rooted thing. I mean, like you said, like that's the reason you can't change the name. You fall in love with the logo, and you're rooted into what you start. That's your roots.
Yeah,
That's really where you began with, and it's kind of hard to let go of something that you've built for so long, and now to try and not necessarily trash it, but whenever you're completely changing the name of something that you've been building,
it loses all that momentum that you've built up throughout the years.
Exactly.
And the people that are all a part of it today, this very moment, are like probably 80% the same people that were involved in it back in 2012. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same people. Right. So I want to keep that going, you know? Like you guys, for example, everybody in this room and like all of our immediate friend group has just always been so supportive. And I feel like if I change that, then that's throwing that all away, you know. I want to keep that going for sure.
Oh,
so I guess then that would lead to at least my next question, unless you guys have something, which would be, so who would you consider, and I appreciate you throwing us into that, but who would you consider like really the core members or the core contributors to Umbra and I guess its growth and where you are right now?
That's
which
super
we're gonna
hard.
get to where.
I mean,
and if you need some time to think about it and you want to,
I mean, and it's okay to be conceited on this because I know you're a very hardworking like single individual in this effort. I know you've put in 99% of the work behind it.
Absolutely. And just to take 2 seconds, like, because that's what we're trying to do too, is we want to give people in Tulsa like yourself who are trying to do
another
cool things, a platform to put themselves on.
And
so
this is such a different platform. That's what I love about it, is like I would never have any broadcast or live or anything that's like you actually get to know the person. It's more about just a product.
Right.
I like this so much because it's so authentic. We're not selling anything. We're just having a conversation.
And I think it's cool, man.
I mean, we're not that broke to where we're selling ourselves.
Well, you know what I do on Tuesday nights, guys, after the podcast.
By the way, hit up Hideaway Pizza in Tulsa Hill. I'm just kidding.
But so if you need time on that, or that's a hard question, no worries, we can move on.
No, well, like, honestly, dude, I want to shout out like Michael Mitrick, Gage Wolf, Alex McDonald, Sam Haynes, Eli Talley, because those 5 dudes, like, it really started when I was like a sophomore at Jinx, and those 5 dudes were the guys that were rolling around Jinx tagging with me, like the kids that didn't have cars when they turned 16, so we had skateboards and we skated everywhere, but like we were the different kids at Jinx, so we kind of stuck together and just hit those tags. Yeah, Jinx High School. Yeah, so like those were the guys that got me into tagging. Like that's kind of how it started with all that. So those guys are like definitely the first era of Umbra, and they started it all. And then it kind of evolved when I moved downtown. 1616 evolved Umbra into a much different place. So when we had 1616 roll around, like Zach Harden, obviously humongous influence in everything I've done in the past 2 years. Johnny Miller, especially huge influence. Shout out Grant Weiskiver in OKC making music. He was a huge influence on Umbra for a long time. Everybody in this room, Barrett Bryan, huge influence on Umbra. Like a lot of my I mean all of the designs and all of the phrases come from my mind, and Barrett and I had some great conversations all throughout high school that spurred a lot of deeper thoughts for me and deeper things like that I kind of would pull from to put out on the shirts. So, Barrett's house at 101st and Memorial, there was just like people there every weekend. I would draw from that. We would jam all the time. Alec Williams, shout out Sports. Yeah. That was the Umbra. That was the Umbra era that is legendary. Bro.
Not the sports you
not
might have
sports
heard
you
of.
know. Not
the
sports with the shiny jackets.
But
we were sports first.
The original.
Sports with the Cub face. That's
sports with the Cub T-shirt.
OG
yes.
Sports.
Sports in the same haircuts is what we went by for a while. Because we all had the same swoop over haircut. Japanese fast food was a band name. Was like a band name iteration.
Because we found out that there's another.
Yeah, we were like, oh shit, there's a sports band that's actually like popular. We can't do this anymore.
You know, throwing back into your high school days, I had a question for you. In August 20th of 2013, you tweeted, "I do not go on Twitter so I could see large scrotums. Please stop." Do you know what that was about?
What the fuck?
That's amazing. This is some Nardwuar shit right now.
That's some Nardwuar shit. You went so far back. I did not come on Twitter to see large scrotums. What the fuck was that about?
I wish we could pull up a screen.
I was reading through that the other day, and I was just really wondering what that might happen to be about.
You know what? I would not be surprised if like Johnny got on my phone. Johnny Miller got on my phone. Yeah, the keys. Johnny's on the piano on all the Umbra tracks.
Oh, you'll get to hear this. We're getting there.
He probably. I would not be surprised if he stole my phone because he loves, genitalia and making jokes about it.
Yes, he does.
So I would not be surprised if that was a Johnny tweet. If that was me, I have no idea what that was about, honestly.
One more quick question for you back to high school. The day before, I'm just kind of wondering if you actually got to eat. You tweeted, "What if my mom forgot to put money on my lunch account? Oh my God, will I be okay?" I'm just kind of wondering, did you actually get to eat at lunch that day, or were you...
I cannot believe, first of all, that you went back that far, and second of all, that I can't remember these tweets. Like, why would I...
I feel like you were probably making fun of people on that one.
Maybe. There was a lot of satire. Oh, that's probably definitely what it was.
Well, that might explain. 3 days later, you tweeted... What if I trip on my shoelaces in front of the cool kids? So I kind of take it that you might have been a little bit of a rebel in high school. And
definitely satire.
Didn't really want to fit in with the popular children.
We just need to take a second and talk about Jinx is like very preppy. Like it's the most cliquey, like stereotypical high school in the world.
Yeah.
And so like being a tagger, it's not that you didn't have friends or like you couldn't still fit in and talk to people. You were just different.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
Just a different. Yeah. Like if you didn't play a sport.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty much it. That's pretty much as far like there's the people that play sports and those are the Jinx high school students, and then there's the other people.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were definitely not. And I played soccer for like a year, and that's how I met those 5 guys that I was telling you about. But definitely didn't continue.
It's an interesting.
Got cut from the soccer team, so if you get cut from your high school sports team, be happy because then you move on to important things in life.
Like having a real job.
Actually, true.
I got cut from the soccer team, got a job, started Umbra. So how can I be upset about that?
Use that as motivation to do something with your life.
To all the 12-year-olds that are watching.
All of you, all of them, all -8 of them.
No. We got one. Drayden out there. Thank you, little bro. Watching this. Make sure if you get cut from the high school soccer team, you start a shoe company. Okay. We already got a T-shirt company. We need a shoe company.
Get free ones, yo.
Yeah.
So, shit. I just blanked, so if somebody else has something to say.
That's totally
I
good.
had a question prepped, but it just
it
zipped right out. I'm so impressed with you, by the way, Dalton. That's great.
3 days later.
That's great to go to that, my friend.
Like, I want these tweets. How'd you get that?
That's
a lot of scrolling, a lot of searching.
A lot of scroll. I was sitting here for 2.5 hours, guys. Let me tell you.
I definitely. I wanted to keep you on your toes. That's one thing I've loved about this podcast and shooting this podcast is we go commando. I mean, we're free balling and we're jumping through the jungles. We really don't know what we're going to throw at each other when things happen, and we kind of just roll with the punches. And so I'm kind of ready to have you rolling through with the punches. Shout out to the sake.
That's so accurate. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of what we want to do, though. Like, over organized, over like controlled. That's literally not our lives. That's not who we are as people. And so like literally by the seat of our pants is how we want to do things. I'm sorry if that makes it
no, it makes it more interesting.
Good, because
we just
obviously with you as a guest, we don't want it to be like,
All
Holy
right, we
shit.
got 17
What am I about
questions.
to
We got
say?
7 seconds to answer.
well, I think that.
Yeah.
So like that's just kind of the feel we want. I think that was beautiful, and I'm very happy that you did that. I had no idea. Apparently, there was some collusion going on.
We discussed that.
I was just as surprised as you, Chad.
That's funny.
So Caden, I don't know. Do you have anything? Do you have anything for Chad talking about the early days?
Not in particularly.
I think
like,
we. Go
I feel
ahead.
like the evolution of Umbra really helped with that. But I feel like he explained everything perfectly, honestly.
I guess just my last question then would be: do you just feel like there have been two like major iterations of Umbra, or
Not at
like,
all.
many iterations?
No, I feel like it's just been one whole
One
flow.
collective flow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's never been like, oh, well, today I'm stopping this and tomorrow I'm starting that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's been because the music was going on throughout all the T-shirts. We
Yeah,
were
just
jamming
not
it, Barrett's all the
recorded,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't being put out.
Exactly.
Oh,
And-
definitely can't wait to get into that. I actually
Yeah.
have some more deep info.
We're excited.
So yeah, the music was a part of it the whole time. It just kind of evolved based on what we want to appear as, you know, what we want to be putting out, and what makes the most sense to get the most attention. Because at the end of the day, like, attention is the most valuable thing you can have as a brand. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to plot on getting the most attention.
Who is we?
Me, myself, and I.
Look at him.
Well, when I say we, Larry Good, Cooley Blow, like we
Yeah.
and Johnny Miller, Zach Harden, Daniel Miller, Tall Pockets. We're
That's
always
the same person.
Tall Pockets is Daniel Miller, yeah,
Cooley Blow is Larry.
exactly. So we are always hanging out, making music, discussing things. It's mainly me, but like they always have their great input to add on to consider. But yeah, mainly me.
Yeah.
That's
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
And what were you gonna say?
Go ahead, finish.
I have nothing to say.
I was going to say, I definitely would love to transition. You know, we've
Yeah.
talked about your early
The
stages,
shirts.
mostly T-shirts. I'd like to get more talking about music. I know you actually released 3 songs here recently. What was in the past week?
Saturday, yeah.
3 beautiful singles.
We actually
Thank
have
you.
one prepared for you guys to go ahead and give you guys a play. Hopefully, we're going to be able to plug that into you guys right about now. It's Feel It. This is produced by Chad Earls with Cooley Blow, Daniel Miller, Johnny Miller, and Zach Harden.
Got it.
Hope you guys enjoy.
Whoa. It's Cooley BC, I'm aspiring to be great. Watch my money meet my fate. I'm in the backseat, drugged out. In 06 with my lugs out. I'm with my gang with they mugs out. Shit, I've been praying that I'll work out. 3 days a week in the yo wow. I feel complete, defeat the seat. Young freak neat. Pablo Petty, she a freaking league. Now I'm charging for a fee. I'm just trying to beat the heat. I'm just trying to beat the streets. I heard them gunshots ring out.
Waking up has been easy. All this pressure's off my mind. And it's like my season's coming. I've been hitting strides in my pride. When I sleep it's real easy. And all the town treats me right. It's cruising down Peoria. We'll call it Tuesday night, but this is what dreams look like. I wish I could give you one time. This life's all I've been given. All night from this side, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
got rich nigga habits. Still tipping, feel like Mike Jones with the rapping. Say you got racks, we got racks in. Moonwalk with the moon rock. Bully Jackson, this a life of a dreamer since you asking. This the hard life of a sinner, but the fashion. I'm just trying to understand these women and they baggage. I'm just trying to give you all my love with this passion. If you believe it, why you laughing? Why you a drinking, you crashing? Walked the new Bimmer, then I trashed it. Both phones inside a leader, slow to action. Bless the plug, that's my God, don't be taxing. And I share it with all my blood. Do no rations, I let these niggas shine. Cause when that hype dies down, you gon' see just who lasting. Hype died down, you gon' see who lasting. When that hype died down, you gon' see just who lasting. Hype died down, you gon' see just who lasting.
I could give you time. This life's all I've been given. All day from this side, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Day from this side, I'm feeling it. Feeling it, feeling it.
And we're back.
So, tell me about like your steps that you take whenever you're going to actually like edit and produce a song. Like what are the steps that you go to whenever you start piecing everything together?
Gotcha.
I don't want to interrupt that. I just do want to take a second again. That was Feel It, you know? So you can, obviously it's all there.
SoundCloud.com/UMBRA TULSA.
That's exactly what I wanted, to give you that promotion there. That'll all be in the description. It'll
Plug.
be right at the top.
Yeah.
So, if you just want to repeat your question, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so
No.
basically the process
Yeah,
of
no,
how
most definitely.
we end up with a finished track. Well, Johnny Miller on the keys is my man. He is like honestly the secret weapon. Dude is so talented. And so, you know, when it comes to producing, like I do all of the arrangement of the song. I mix all the vocals, so those are all me. And I do the beat and sometimes the bass. Sometimes Zach's on bass. Sometimes we're both on bass.
Okay.
I'll add additional keys. Basically, what we start with is Johnny and I get in the studio together and we make a song, like a foundation.
Okay.
Chord progression, some twinkly stuff in there, maybe add some bass, and then we'll have Johnny and Daniel Tall Pockets and Larry Coolie Blow come through, and they will just experiment with it. A lot of times I'll make the song like 10 minutes long so that they can just go and go and go and feel the song out and try to iterate. A lot of it's off the top of the head. Sometimes they'll have stuff written. And then at that point, it's basically just cutting away all the things we don't like. We really like to have like under 2 minutes, maybe a little over 2 minute songs. And you know, so we cut away at the vocals, decide what we want the vocals to be, and decide where we want the vocals to be, and then we build the beat around that. So I'll go in and add more keys on top. Johnny might add some more keys on top. We'll add some horns and some flute and some transitions and some bass drops, and at that point it starts to become a finished product, and we can kind of visualize what we want it to end up being.
Okay, so you would definitely say that you and Johnny are probably like the main
Most
two
definitely.
people
Masterminds.
Most definitely.
Whenever
Well,
you're coming behind.
Not
Yeah.
to take away credit, but just to say, like,
without the lyrics, the song would be boring as fuck.
Most
So
def-
yes, not the mastermind, but the
But
foundation.
you guys are setting up the foundation of the
Exactly.
song. Okay,
Exactly.
That's kind of what I wanted to know
And
on like how
and
things are
some
being
tracks
set up.
I'll do by myself, and some tracks I'll let Johnny do by himself.
Okay.
And it's just a balance of what does this need? Does this need something from me? Does this need something from him? And you know, it's just we just try to be as honest as possible and not take anything personally, and be objective about the music and try to come out with a good finished product. And Johnny's just like a fountain of ideas, so we go back and forth.
I guess just that. I mean, that's honestly, I think that's the best way. We really, I mean, try to do the same thing. Not to
Yeah.
make just a ton of comparisons,
Yeah.
but we try to be really just like
Exactly.
blunt, because that's what you need to do to be
I was
good.
gonna say, like, a lot of groups, I mean, outside of music even like suffer from just like yes men who just I
Okay.
feel
Yes
like
men will
Jay-Z
kill
was
you.
an artist who was like
No yes
critiqued for that. No, I feel like he was I'm honestly talking out of my ass right now.
Known for it.
I talked to Jay-Z in 1999.
I had an interview with Jay-Z last month, and he told me personally he was surrounded with yes.
I was looking at some Jay-Z tweets from 2007.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I read something like that where he was. I don't know though. I mean, maybe not, but yeah, I just feel like a lot of artists can suffer from people that are just agree for the sake of not wanting to be
mean or
blunt.
hurtful.
Yeah, exactly.
Blunt, yeah.
If you give me an opinion and it's positive, I didn't gain anything from it.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. I really do from the bottom of my heart. But I didn't learn anything from it, and that's just facts. So when you tell me something negative, I'm gonna grow from that, and so that's what we try to do with each other.
I mean, it's all
Not
about
just
the
be
way,
negative all the time.
The way it's
Exactly.
the way it's given.
Yo, that shit
Fuck
sucks.
you, this fucking blew. You can't learn anything from this sucks.
Well,
but,
I-
and I think that more
Constructive criticism.
the base needs to be deeper in this. Yeah.
we don't say it's bad. We give suggestions. It's
Right,
all about
this
this is
provide
what should.
problems, provide solutions.
Well, and
Exactly.
from being on this side of it, which I can truly like appreciate, like exactly what you're saying, and I'm sure all of us can, trying to build something our own. Kind of like you said, the positive comments, yeah, it's awesome. Thank you so much.
It's
it means a
great
lot.
for the self-esteem.
But I also need I need negative feedback.
But-
tell me what was wrong with it. And I think the problem that we have is kind of like you said, the yes man situation. We look at people who are actually doing it, and we want to think that they know everything that they're doing, and so like us giving not necessarily what they want to hear
Yep.
is going to be something that's going to offend them.
And they might not like us anymore.
But,
Which
Yeah.
like you said, building the self-esteem. If you got a ton of self-esteem for something that's shit,
What's it worth?
it's not worth shit.
most definitely.
So
Exactly. And that's the thing is, like, I may have had a lot of years experience with music, but sometimes someone like Caden, who's never made music but has listened to a lot of music, can give me a suggestion that helps immensely. So just because he might not be a producer or be able to play a guitar doesn't mean he can't tell me something that's going to help. And that's why I appreciate having real friends, because when I send Caden tracks all the time. And Caden will straight up tell me, these vocals need to be lower, or you need to add a harmony here, or you need to have more drops, it's too boring, or whatever it is. And that is what helps me grow, because I can't get that from a stranger. I trust his opinion.
no, most definitely.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to be a part of that.
I guess one of the questions that kind of
created for me is then how do you determine what needs more of like the Johnny touch and what needs more of a Chad touch? Then?
Okay, yeah, most definitely. That's a good question.
What sticks out to you that makes you feel like, or how do you, and also how do you decide? Like, do you collectively decide who needs to work on what, or
Yeah, is it like you have like a premeditated idea of what you want something to sound like, or is it just how you're feeling when you listen to it?
Honestly, like, I have a really short attention span. So if I'm listening to one of our songs and I get bored with it, it needs a lot of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I get bored with a track. How we work kind of is we flip through all the songs that we're currently working on. So we may, like right now we're working on 5 or 6 tracks. So we get bored with one and we flip to the next one. So it's a fresh track. So it's really not even like we sit down and ponder a song for hours and hours and try to formulate this perfect thing. We're just, I'm bored with this shit, man. This shit is trash. On to the next one. Oh wow, this is I forgot about this. Like this is kind of cool, and then you'll get some new inspiration. It's like, you know what this needs? This needs a little bit of horn going, boop, 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 and it just happens naturally. You know, and we flip to the next song, and this next one, this is dope.
Man, just like you said, no, it needs a little bit of horn. But it reminds me of I'm a huge James Brown fan.
Oh,
And if you ever like watched like live footage of James Brown like working in the studio,
Amazing.
he's talking over to the saxophone player. He goes, I need a little bam 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 ba dam ba dam bam, and they play it and he goes, no, that's bam 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 ba bam ba bam bam. I need bam 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 ba bam ba bam bam. So it's kind of like the same thing. Like
It's
like
feeling.
You're
It's
sitting
all
there,
feeling.
You're looking at a fresh view and you're like, no, that's not really what I wanted. I
Yeah.
wanted this. Let's
Yeah.
try and make this happen.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna be perfect when it
Yeah.
finally gets put
And I
together.
feel like that's what Kanye is known for. Is having
Kanye
that-
will scrap a whole project.
Exactly.
He's like, you know what?
He
We
wants
spent
that exact
hours on this,
sound.
but
Yeah.
fuck it, and that's it.
Why worth my time?
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit. Oh, well, if you look at some of my recent tweets, I said the song's not finished until one person's in the studio with a stank
Yes.
face and one person is shedding a tear, and that's really how it is. Because like we'll be in the studio and some people will be bored with the song in the studio, and that's when I know that it's a no-go. Like if I'm in the studio and I'm working, we might have like Larry or another homie behind me and they're just like on their phone or whatever, I'm like, fuck this is not worth it. When we get a song that everybody's like, wait a second,
vibing,
oh shit, and then everybody just kind of dancing, it's like, okay, now we've actually made some progress, we've done something worth thinking about putting out.
Yeah, and you record all this at your house, right?
Yup, all at 1616 in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Second bedroom.
That's awesome. And
Yes,
so
sir.
you'll just have all those dudes
Constantly flowing through.
Literally 7 days a week.
and everyone just
Literally
sets
7
up
days a week.
in the room.
Yeah. Like the other day, I had Larry over and he was recording a verse, and Johnny was over making a brand new beat in the other room with his headphones on.
Oh,
So a lot of times it'll be like
it's like
we've
an
got to
OVO camp.
I got a studio set up.
Yeah.
I walk in the bathroom to take a piss, and they're in the shower.
There's a mic. There's a mic, a sock mic.
They got 14 cartons of eggs set up on the side while trying to get the sound.
For real. We had the dampening stuff. Yeah.
You know, you talk about recent stuff, and you talk about like the adding, like we need a little bit of horn here. I've actually was listening to one of your more recent playlists you put out on SoundCloud, your 11 track, that kind of wasn't the more clean new stuff that you're doing now with Cooley and Daniel and Zach and Johnny. I gotta say, I really love the xylophone that you added to Tommy.
Yes.
That might be one of the best things I've heard on your production.
Dude,
All of this will be in the description.
Tommy is my favorite beat I've ever made. Well, except
Really?
for 3 a.m. 3 a.m. might be my favorite beat I've ever made.
Yes.
Tommy's number 2.
I love 3 a.m.
Tommy's number 2.
I love
and
3
appreciate that
a.m.
because it's slept on. Nobody
3
cares about
a.m.
it.
I have a shower playlist, like a playlist to play in the shower, and no joke, it is like it's the first song in it. I mean, it's only like
I
8
feel like
songs.
I'm showering with you.
But oh man, that's why I got it, so I can picture Chad right there with me,
Hanging out in the
No,
shower
but
with me.
That's my goal with
It's
music.
it's like beautiful,
people
man.
showers.
It's like just melodic and like, I mean, I guess one of my favorite words is ambient. It just like it feels. I
Dude,
guess
thank you.
I don't even know how to describe it besides
Dude,
it feels.
Story about that beat. I didn't have Ableton on my laptop yet, so I couldn't make music at home. I had it on my office computer.
Okay.
So I could only make music at my office. And so I would get off work at 5 o'clock and I would just stay in the office and work and work and work. One time I was just feeling super energetic for some reason, just on hella coffee, and worked until 3 a.m. And at 3 a.m. I had that beat done, and I was like,
That's where the name came?
That's where the name came from. And I published it at 3 a.m. at the Triple Play office.
At 3 a.m.
At 3
At 3
a.m. I was just in there drinking coffee.
Oh my god.
3
It's
a.m.
3 a.m.,
Published that
I'm
beat, went
feeling
home, felt so good.
lonely.
Nobody gave a fuck about it until like a month later. So
That's
but
fucking
that's
dope.
what I love about it is like you can post something and nobody cares about it, but eventually if it's quality,
It
people
will
will
get
react.
that
And that's
exposure.
why it's so crazy to me that like we're sitting here and you're talking about a beat that literally had 10 views for a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I want to say to other people is like, if you have shit that nobody cares about, keep
definitely
going,
talked
because
about
if you stop, there's never a chance that anybody's gonna like it.
Exactly.
But if you
Absolutely.
keep going, you're eventually gonna learn enough to build something that people will appreciate and enjoy.
Well,
Go
like
ahead.
kind of like what you say right there. Like you keep building and you keep moving. That kind of brings me into like another question. Like, what would you say is your fuel to your creativity? Like, what really like gets your creative juices flowing? Is that something that's like always going all day, which I can fully understand because some people are that way, or is there or are there certain times that you just really get in the mood,
Yeah.
to where you're really feeling it?
It's definitely a mix. There are times where I'm just at work with ideas and ideas and ideas. Like I'm trying to not be because I have shit to do, and stuff just keeps coming out. I'm like, fuck, I gotta write this down. Like I don't want to forget about this. And then there are times where I'm sitting at my computer for hours and can't come up with something I like. So it's definitely a mix. The fuel, I would say, man, the fuel is just like
Music.
it's
I just
just
think it's
music.
that
Yeah, when I
passion.
listen, it's when I listen to music I think is my fuel, because I'll listen to, and even when I was making shirts, that was my fuel. Like I will listen to Young Thug or the new Smino album or Mike Will Made It or Pharrell or The Strokes, and I will just be like,
That's amazing.
I
My
need
heart
to
right
do
there.
something. It makes me feel like I can't sit here. Like I have to do something. I need to be a part of this. I appreciate what they're doing so much. I just hope I can be that force the next guy. And I think that's kind of what it is. And also
Tyler the Creator was a big influence, right?
Huge Tyler fan. Oh my God, the fact that he started it all by himself. Early stuff. Okay. And Cherry Bomb. I mean, people talk shit on Cherry Bomb. I fucking love.
I was just gonna make the comparison because that's literally, you know, he was music and fashion.
I mean,
music and fashion, and nobody else.
And putting his whole team on.
I was gonna make the Odd Future comparison earlier.
Odd Future was the first, before I ever made a shirt. I was obsessed with Tyler's.
Well, and you know, I even
the cats, bro. The cats. I was just like, this dude's making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of donuts and cat T-shirts. Like, I just have to believe in myself, and I'll eventually, you know.
Well, you know, I don't even want to make a comparison to my friend group in Odd Future, but I mean that's kind of well, I can definitely get respect from what he was doing by putting people on, because I kind of feel like that's how we work. As people, definitely. I mean, that's why we have you on our podcast.
Exactly.
That's why I'm excited that
Thank you again.
when you make music with people who were friends with Daniel and Zach and Cooley, like that's you putting people on because you're making a beat and you don't necessarily have to have them be a part of what you're working with, but you're doing it because you know they are talented.
Yeah.
They're very creative individuals, and they add something to what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
That's going to help. The flavor.
That flavor,
it gives
man,
you
it's
that,
like the spice.
The final
It's
touch,
like the
yeah.
spice
Craig Mack
of the
said
dish,
it best.
dude.
That flavor in your ear.
Have you heard of Captain Crunch? You've heard of Captain Crunch?
Most definitely, yeah.
Salisaw.
Yeah, he
Straight out
started
of
Salisaw.
Salisaw, Oklahoma.
Yeah, he started a hashtag respect the producers
like
because it's like always the rapper, the artist that
Shout out
like
to
gets
Captain
the credit
Crunch.
for. I mean, not
Definitely.
everything, but
I definitely think that there is a lot of credit that needs to go to the producers because it's always channeled to the artist. But at the same time, with this stuff that we're doing specifically, people like to say, you know, Chad, you're putting them on, or Chad, you're helping them out. And I recognize that, but at the same time, look at the attention I got with my beats by themselves.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's not just about the attention; it's about the music. And think about listening to a beat compared to listening to something with a verse and then a hook and then another hook and then a verse and a chorus and a hook, or whatever formation.
Well, that's why.
But it's just much more
completed
interesting.
song
My
as
point
opposed to
is,
just a beat.
they add just as much as I'm giving
Definitely.
them. You know, it's definitely like an equal.
No, most definitely.
Yeah, for sure. It's just collaboration.
Kind of where I'm at with it is when I say like you putting them on. I really mean is to me when I look at like the producer of something, I always look at you're probably putting in a lot more extra work at the end of the day.
As far as hours, definitely.
Yeah, and honestly, you are kind of putting them on because they wouldn't have anywhere to record.
Absolutely.
If you didn't have the setup.
I mean,
particularly in this situation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on Lynn and say, Chad, you're Birdman. Right now,
dude.
Like,
if there's one person I do not want to be,
I was about to say you don't want to be Birdman. Fuck Birdman.
Wayne's music. I want Wayne's music.
Dude, the Carter 6.
Where's Carter 6 at? That's all we need.
Where's the Carter 6, dude? Just trashing that.
I appreciate the analogy though.
I mean, I don't necessarily mean like you Birdman, but like
that figure.
Like what you're doing for people that
even
it's
still,
amazing
man,
that you have that in your heart.
Except I can make music.
If you can sing and if you can rap. That doesn't matter if you don't got a beat to rap or sing over. And not to take away from those people at all, but like without those hours in the studio or on your laptop working on that beat.
Yeah.
And producing and mastering and mixing the whole song.
Bro, the mixing.
They don't sound good.
Yeah,
like, they might sound good, but it's not going to sound like a coherent, cohesive song.
Dude, honestly,
so
don't give me credit as a producer. Give me credit as a mixing engineer because the producing takes like 3 hours, 8 hours for a song, but the mixing is like 10, 20, 30 hours.
A couple days.
It's like a much more...
That gets me into my next
process.
question. We've talked about this a little bit before, but so like, what would you say on the song that we played? You know, for everybody. How long do you feel like you spent working on that? Like you alone, not including like recording time, but just like mixing, mastering, trying to make it what it sounds like today.
Yeah.
How long did that take you?
Well, one thing I want to add to that is that even like the recording, I am working because, and not to just boost myself, but like while we're recording, I'm mixing vocals at the same time, you know, because I'm hearing them as they're doing it and I'm trying to get the bass mix to where it just sounds good. So even when they're like, Larry spends 4 hours in the studio, I'm spending 4 hours in the studio. You know, it's not like I'm over there on
just watching
Twitter.
and record. Right?
Yeah, no, it's a very involved process. So like, and feel it is definitely the most involved song that we dropped. Like the other ones didn't take as long. It was just the most intensive song. Dude, I have no idea. Probably like 25 or 30 hours total. You know.
That's crazy. That's dedication. I just want to say that is dedication.
Yeah,
That's definitely dedication.
And that's
something.
Well, that's one. The thing is, that's one track, and it's like we dropped 3 out of 15. Like we've got a lot of tracks. In the
Keep
vault.
it up for that 11-track album he's been talking about dropping.
We are definitely looking forward to it, and after it's dropped, we plan on having you back on the show to go ahead and talk about the entire album.
May be a while, but I'm looking forward to it.
I want to get all of you guys on here.
Yeah, dude, I'd love to have everybody up here because like I don't want to talk for these guys.
Yeah,
I want them to be up here. We
got
to get Latest hit a freestyle for real.
Yeah, man. Well, we definitely. I mean, this was the start. You know,
Yeah.
Before his next mixtape drops.
Yeah, Earth 2. Shout out Earth 2.
Yeah.
Follow Cooley Todd him on Twitter.
Shout out Larry or Cooley Blow.
Shout out Cooley Blow.
Check that fucking description, dudes. It'll be down there.
I mean,
kind of going back to what you said.
Another
about
thing
Tulsa.
I'd like to say too is that like whenever that stuff's happening, we've already talked about it before. We're probably going to be having a live set on show.
Oh yeah,
yes.
We'll get some keys and some drums in here.
Oh yes, we want to do like an intermission where we play music like this, but it's live music. That's the goal. That's the goal.
We'd like to get you guys have
But
a
we gotta
live
get
look
there.
into how we're mixing things, how things are actually going down, the beautiful voices that we have in our friend group, the beautiful work on the laptop. I don't want to say just laptop, but I mean honestly, that's where all this shit's going.
Yeah,
Let's
no.
be honest,
I
nowadays.
just
throw it on my Mac and we're gonna be good to go.
This is what, episode 6?
Episode 6.
If
Episode
you've-
7 if we're counting Universal Young.
No, that's just like a video. That's a one-off. That don't and not a one-off, but it's like its own separate thing at this point. But like if you've watched us through, you will notice like the consistent improvement, and you might not consider them leaps and bounds, but if you could see where like what
From
we are
behind the
surrounded
scenes.
Watch
by,
video 1
like,
and then put on this video and tell us what you think.
The difference and discrepancy between those videos, like we want to keep it that way, where every video is just better and better until we reach a point where the quality, we can't improve that, and it's just us we got to improve.
Yep.
You know, like that's where we want to
Win
get, and so
or
we're trying to
learn.
get there. We really are trying to get there, and I just hope. Because we want, like, again, we don't want to put you on a shit platform. Like, we want us to be a
this
platform.
is so fun. Like, I've had so much fun.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that, dude, because that's
Seriously.
all we want. Like, we want it to be a good time for everybody involved. And again, yeah, so we are at 61 minutes. Does anybody have any more questions for Mr. Chad Earls over here?
I have a question for you guys.
Yes,
please.
this is what we were hoping for.
I hope you have a couple of them for us.
So, how do you guys feel about suicide? I'm totally kidding.
We are not answering this question
I'm
on
totally
live
kidding.
air.
I'm totally kidding. I shouldn't have said that. No.
That's just like an inside, I don't even want to
Yeah.
say joke, but an inside thing at this
So,
point.
Dalton.
Really don't want to get me going on this.
No,
but-
I'm
Yeah,
playing.
let's just-
I'm playing. Fucking forget it. All right. You are so into such a diverse range of music.
That's awesome.
You know, we've got Lil Pump.
Shout out
Lil
to
Pump.
you.
And we've got
Next
Chapo, you know, and then we go all the way back to the 60s soul. What is it that you find in music that, you know, you can latch onto within these such diverse genres? Like, what is it that you like about those that they may have in common?
I've always been a big proponent in life to. I'm very emotional. I'm always living off the emotions that I'm like running through. So whenever I listen to music, I want to listen to something that makes me feel.
Fits that.
So the best way I can describe this, you pull out Lil Pump.
Yeah.
We talked about XXX.
Yeah.
We talked about guys, Lil Tracy. We talked about
Shouts out Lil Tracy.
Warhol's
Shouts out Lil
SS. We talked about. We talked about Smoke Perp. We talked about Ski Mask Slump God. We talked about Famous Dex. These type of guys. It's the energy.
Yeah.
The best way I can describe it is whenever I go for a run. I really enjoy running. It makes me sore as shit for the next couple of days, like most people. But there'll be times when I'm literally about to have to go walk.
Yeah.
And I can throw on R.I.P. Roach, XXXTentacion, and when he says, grip that pistol ambidextrous, and it's blowing in my eardrums, I can't do anything but go off on a sprint.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, there's times when I'm listening to Otis Redding, Dock on the Bay, and I can be in the middle of the happiest moment of my life, and I feel myself on the verge of tears thinking of some of the saddest moments and the most emotional moments I've ever had, and that's kind of what draws me into that vast genre and that vast diversity in the music
Just the
I listen
feeling.
to.
Just the feeling.
It's a feeling that I have.
If it evokes emotion,
Yeah.
I feel like
that's
that's
Yeah,
music, man.
exactly, though. That's
Music,
good music.
is feeling.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Music that's well made, just it makes you feel. It elicits emotion that you can't even
Facts.
control.
Facts.
Like, and it's just psychologically we can't help it, and that's good music.
Definitely.
It's definitely something that, and I can understand where you're
Like
coming
what
from
you
because
like.
D-row
Yeah.
into let's get it on. Try and play.
Like even there, being able to create that sensual feeling just through a
exactly,
song, like,
exactly.
like
words.
sensuality
It's
through
this
music
moment.
and words. It's incredible.
I think it's honestly what people strive for, and we talk about people who struggle with addiction, and we talk about people who struggle with feeling, and we talk about people who are depressed and they feel nothing. I think whenever I listen to music that gives me a feeling, I can sit somewhere and I'm absolutely, completely lost in the moment.
I can definitely relate to that.
Absolutely.
I'm lost in the feeling that's going on when I'm listening to something, and that is what, to me, makes something great. It's not the story behind it. It's not the lyricism
It's
behind
not the genre.
it. It's not the genre.
Yeah.
It's not anything about what they wrote or what impact it means.
That's how it makes you feel.
It's literally how, when I'm listening to it, I feel.
That's
And if it
good
actually
shit,
gives you a real feeling, then you can't really...
can't ignore that.
Honesty.
Exactly.
Honesty. That's perfect. That's perfect, I think.
They talk about in food umami, and they talk about in drugs ecstasy, this feeling of complete euphoria. That is what good music really is to me.
You can be sober as a board.
You can be
Exactly.
high
Listen
on
to
music.
amazing music. And
Exactly.
It just makes you feel like nothing else.
It makes me feel like I'm the most fucked up person I've ever been in my entire life. I'm just sitting there. Well, exactly. Like even like in a comedic sense, like you're.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm there. I'm in the moment, and I'm trapped in the feelings that are completely invoking my entire person.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Great
cover
answer.
they cover me entirely.
Beautiful.
Facts. Truth.
Well, do you have
Any more-
anything else,
any more
Chad?
questions?
Anything
I
you
have
would
a
like to
question
say?
for both of you guys.
Oh,
Keep
all
it
right.
coming.
Do we have time?
Yeah, no,
Oh,
we definitely
have
have time. We
have
can
plenty.
keep it going
I'm ready
as
to hear
long
these
as we want.
questions.
All right. Well, for Caden,
All right.
if there was like a publication that currently exists of
Okay.
any type, of any medium, blog or print or whatever, which one would you want to run? Which one would you want to be the head of all the ones that you follow and enjoy, and why?
That's a great question.
Really enjoy
I'm
this.
interested in this as well, honestly. That's awesome.
I don't know. I don't like. Do I? What do you mean? Like, do I get full control?
You're the CEO, and
So like,
the
would it
head-
matter then?
Big Papa over here.
Well, I'm just saying, like, who would you want to represent? You know what I
Okay.
mean? Who do you want to
I don't
show
know.
up to South by Southwest and be affiliated with?
Okay, yeah, I see. I think Fader or Double XL, honestly.
That's good choices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
I
love
was
to be a
hoping it would
part.
be Fader. I thought it would be Fader.
Yeah, Fader's really dope. I like all the work Gunner does for them for their
Oh my
covers
god!
and
And
shit.
their editors and contributors are just always great. I think.
And I
Spot
like
on,
the.
most of them.
I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Double XL isn't really that relevant.
Yeah.
Outside of Twitter and then their
Their
freshman list.
publication. Yeah, their freshman list. Yeah.
So, and I would. and
That's
I think,
growing though, man.
but I-
That's
and I-
relatively new.
the freshman list.
Relatively.
It's been around for a while.
Relatively.
But I would love to be just like in charge of like those picks, honestly, and
Yeah.
just to see those like ciphers set up and like be a part of those interviews. I think that'd be really dope.
yeah.
But yeah, I think Fader or Double XL really got it going on.
But
I mean, I don't really
why?
know why.
I want the why.
I mean, Double XL because the freshman list. That's relevant every time it comes around.
Definitely.
So-
People get pissed about that. Every
Yeah,
time.
and
I
but that's
would
just
say
great.
no
I would be
relevant.
pissed
That's
about
great
it next year.
publicity
if I-
though
Exactly,
too.
yeah.
If
No,
people are
perfect.
talking
If
about it.
XXX doesn't get on that list, Lil Pump doesn't get on the list, Famous Dex isn't on the list.
Famous Dex is gonna be on the list.
I'm gonna
He
be a
will
little
definitely be
pissed.
on the list.
Ugly God for sure.
Ugly God for sure.
Ugly God's definitely gonna get on the list, but like, there's also guys. Like
I could see Lil Pump
Trill
not
Sammy.
making that
The
list.
problem-
what's Trill Sammy doing on this list?
Yeah, bro.
The
I
problem
don't
is
wanna hear
people
about
turn it down too. Like Drake and like pretty much all Young Money turned it down.
Yeah,
and so
Nicki.
exactly. So some people just don't care for it.
I feel like that's
And they feel like-
not jealousy, but like
Well, it's almost-
hesitation in like they don't want that scene to be available.
I would say that Drake, after he's released an album or two, doesn't want to be called a
Exactly,
freshman.
yeah,
If they
it's just
approached
they're
him,
not comparable
If they
at that
approached
point.
him 4 years earlier, then he would have definitely taken it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he doesn't need that exposure at that
Right.
point.
I definitely agree
He
with this.
doesn't.
I think they look at themselves more in the sense that I'm already there.
Like,
Yeah, I don't need a
you
freshman
to
list to
try
promote
put
me.
me
Yeah.
on. Why are you trying to put me on the same list as Kodak?
I'm
Like
on
Kodak
this
ain't
horse.
shit on my shoulder for what
Yeah.
I'm doing
Compared
right
to
now.
Drake.
Yeah.
I know
Well,
that's what
this
you're
was
saying.
like-
I'm just like
I-
I'm clarifying.
I-
Disagree
compared to Drake.
wholeheartedly.
like I
but-
get
Yeah.
what you're saying. but,
Kodak's my
like,
boy.
clarifying.
Like shout outs Kodak. Like I
But, like,
cannot
I
wait for that
guarantee
new
that's how
album.
Drake
to come out.
and this was probably like 2011, not recently.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
definitely.
I mean, Bankroll will be on that list. R.I.P. Bankroll.
All right.
Look for that new album coming out April 20th, I believe. 420
And
is
then-
gonna be dropping that new album.
I don't know. The Fader. I don't know. The Fader's really dope. I really couldn't even tell you why. They just have great, I guess, marketing. I guess.
Definitely.
Because they have.
Their cover art is
I think
fantastic.
their
Exactly,
content-
yeah.
Well, their cover art's great, but the writing,
The actual
Yeah.
article
It's
is
also
phenomenal.
extremely good.
Damn, yeah,
like
it's a balance
it's
of
well
both.
written. It's entertaining to read.
And the articles aren't bullshit. They're not headlines to pull you
Yeah.
in.
Clickbait.
They're-
It's not
definitely.
It's
bullshit.
not clickbait.
Absolutely.
It's authentic. You know, they care about
And
what
then
they're writing. about.
Vice
Like,
does
it's
really
people
cool
who love
shit
music
with like
and
their
wanna
videos
promote
and
music.
stuff.
Vice
Yeah.
definitely. Vice.
All right.
But not Vice Land. Vice.
No, I know. I just even
I-
still,
I would
Vice
s-
can do some bullshit.
I would say
just-
Vice.
Vice is a lot for
They fall
artists,
into
though.
some clickbaity ass.
Well,
bullshit.
Vice kind of
But
runs
I'm
into the
not trying to hate,
TMZ.
so like
Vice runs into the TMZ,
into the TMZ
BuzzFeed.
style BuzzFeed bullshit. But
But
I'm not
what
trying
I
to
can
hate,
say for
like,
Vice
They definitely
is
still do a
that
lot
they
for the
still
artists.
I'm
still
not
run
disagreeing.
they run very independent ideas and they still do extremely
Definitely.
good
That's true.
quality on
That's
everything
true.
they're doing.
They do independent.
It's
ideas.
very independent, and the quality that they put out is bar
and they
none the
would-
best that you're gonna find on the internet.
They did like a whole
I mean, it's 4K.
series like where they would go to like rappers
4K.
like popular cities and like they went to like Atlanta and Chicago.
8K, 10K.
to, like,
I don't give a
I
shit.
don't know.
That's good shit, man.
I feel you.
That's awesome.
Sorry, Kate. I just cut you off midway.
Yeah, no,
I
I don't know.
apologize.
I guess my answer would be the Fader or the XXO.
Okay.
Double XL.
Nice.
That's a good answer, honestly. Fair
David,
enough.
if you could make a law that could not be revoked, what would it be?
Oh man,
I wanted to save this one for last.
this is a good question and really hard for me.
I know it's hard
because
because
I've
so
actually
many
even
things.
considered this before.
That's why you asked the question. I already know that shit.
Like, man, and I don't want to contribute to the air, but I feel like I need to like take a second to think. So
No, you're fine.
like the one that okay, and I don't know if this is my true answer, but the one that comes to me off the top of my head is, to be honest, and it's not at all. I know that like voter tests are considered racist, but I don't mean this in at all like it would target a specific race. I just mean humans in general. A test, like basically it would take all the candidates who were up for election and ask randomized questions about them. And if you failed a certain percentage, your vote just, you wouldn't know about it, but your vote just would not count. And I know that Jim Crow laws really kind of come up there, but again, this is not to target, you know, any like
We're not talking
any
literacy tests.
Exactly. I'm not talking about being able to read. I'm talking about, do you
Just
know
so
what
you-
this
yeah,
candidate
exactly.
stands
You're
for?
not voting for just whoever you
Just
hear
some-
on TV.
I'm a Republican, so I
Yeah.
vote for Republicans. It's like, do you
Yes.
know what this person supports? That's all
Yes.
kind of test. That's all I'm trying to say. I think a test that would say Donald Trump, like even as simple maybe as, is he for building a wall? Yes or no? And I don't want to get too political here at all. But just like, I think that there should be a test in that. I don't know if your vote should count if you don't know jack shit about what you're voting for, in my opinion.
Well, I think it would.
On either side, race or not, nothing. Just like if you don't know what you're voting for, I don't think it should really matter.
It would definitely help with the fact that we are in the first time ever in U.S. history where, as little as actually has happened in the presidency, we are already actually at a 58% disapproval rating
yeah.
compared to approval rating.
I would just
Doesn't mean
Obama
something to
didn't
me.
have that in his first term, which many people are like, well, no one liked he was at 68% approval rating.
The thing about these
talk
polls,
about George Bush.
the thing
we
about
talk
these
about-
polls, though,
Is
man,
the demographics of what they
the demographics
Most
and the
definitely.
sample rate. Even if you
Absolutely.
sample 200,000 people, which is 10
Statistics is
times as much as anybody
I just-
has ever sampled, it's still not nearly a real representation of
the
300 million Americans.
And we're talking about
Definitely
America,
agree.
Obviously.
So how can we compare based on statistics? I just want to say something about the
Go ahead, man, talk.
proposed law. Even if it's not a literacy test, the fact that you're testing someone at all is a literacy test. You see what I'm saying? Because if you can't grasp the questions, and if our education system has failed you from the beginning, then you're doomed. You know what I mean? So maybe instead of, I'm not trying to tell you.
No,
what your
dude.
answer should
Say
be. I'm just
your
saying,
opinion, man.
Instead of
Feel
a
free.
test, we could have more informative voter cards.
Right.
To where
I
it
can
says
agree.
Donald Trump,
Believes
big description.
this. That's fair. I
Hillary
Definitely
Clinton,
agree with
big
that
old
idea right
description.
there.
I look to Aristotle, and now granted, that's thousands of years ago, but
Yeah.
Aristotle, the Greeks they're credited with the initiation and creation of democracy. And it was a very different type of democracy than we practice now.
Senators.
But what Aristotle said is that the
definitely
people
parliaments,
who
though.
stand in the way of democracy are the voters. In that the people who are voting and capable of determining who is in charge and what the laws are made, they don't know what the hell they're voting for. Aristotle. He didn't exist in our time. Their time was incredibly different. We're talking about ancient Greece here.
We're talking hand
The
in hand
people who
sword
held
fight.
back democracy. He's one of the most acclaimed philosophers of all time.
Athens,
Just for
Greece.
anybody who might not know.
You write the
And
Iliad?
I'm not saying that he's right,
That was Homer.
but I agree in that I think that a large amount of our populace
Iliad.
is
Art of
not.
War?
They don't
And
pay
the Odyssey.
attention, and it's that they don't necessarily care. And even people that I know, and my parents as a great example, they
votes.
vote based on their party affiliation.
Yeah.
Not. I would not say that I would vote for. I'm not a liberal.
Yeah.
I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I would say I'm very
Liberal.
middle of the line, left leaning. But I would vote for a Republican.
Nancy Pelosi looking at us.
Absolutely, if they had policies that I can agree with,
I like Dalton's ad libs.
if I can agree with them,
Hey.
if they have policies
Lip
like
up.
John
Yeah.
McCain. John McCain's a
Yeah,
great
lip up.
example. I can agree with John McCain on a lot of things. A lot of things I disagree, but
Yo.
I won't say he's a bad person just because he's a Republican. But that's I don't know.
Let's take this moment to encourage everyone to vote, not only in national elections, but in
Local
elections.
State elections. Vote.
Fuck the national elections. The local elections are the one that matters.
Just fucking register. God
Those
damn
are
it.
the ones that matter. If you vote for
That's
your
what I wanted to hear.
If you vote
We
for your
just had a
state
senator
senators,
who raped a child.
yes,
Get him out of office.
He is up being investigated by
Why did you
the
elect him
FBI. Like,
You elected a
All
look
of you
at who you
65-year-old
are
people who
electing.
voted Republican all the way through and didn't even check out your candidates. Look what you fucking
If you
got.
are 18 years old and you think your vote does not matter,
It
okay,
does.
You're
in the
wrong.
federal election, I still think you're wrong, but I can understand why you would think that.
But-
in a local election, you are wrong.
When
There's
30,
no
when
argument.
30% of citizens turn up for an election, your
Your vote
counts.
fucking matters.
We
You are
could have had
a handful
Hillary.
of votes
Instead,
can
we're building
sway
a
anything.
damn wall.
I mean, the thing is, like I said, I'm middle of the line. I don't know if Hillary would have been better.
Oh no,
But
I'm not
Donald
talking about
Trump
partisan anything. I'm
scares
talking
the
about
shit.
participating.
Just,
I'm not talking
just
about partisan.
go. If you
I'm just
vote,
saying
if
you
you
would've
voted for
voted for
Donald,
Hillary.
if you voted for Donald Trump, in my opinion, props. I don't agree with you.
At least you voted.
Listen, I don't agree with you, but at least you went. That's my opinion. Because in Oklahoma, we have the 49th lowest voter participation in the nation.
It's
49.
Is that for national?
You want your
Nationally.
votes?
Yeah, so,
So-
imagine local elections.
Atoka.
We are
Mounds,
the second
Kiefer,
to last state
Sapulpa.
in terms
Exactly.
of people who showed up.
Not Tulsa. We don't show up.
Not the kids.
Go to your elections
Us.
and
It's
vote.
your fault Bernie isn't in office.
No, that's the
You
DNC.
didn't show up.
Yeah,
that's
no.
They just said fuck
you.
you, but I don't know. I really don't want to just be too political.
Yeah,
but
I digress.
it's-
But
no,
the
I
point is,
digress.
participate.
Just vote. Whether you agree with
Please
me or
vote.
not, just vote. Like, that's the good thing.
Do we have any more questions for us,
Any
Chad?
final parting words? Anything you'd like to say about UMBRA?
that is all. Win or learn. If you lose, take the lesson, learn from it, become better. There's no losses, win or learn. That's
Fuck
it.
yeah. And that is our man, Chad Earls, at UMBRA TULSA. Again, all of his social media information will be right at the top of the description.
Shout out DDC Podcast for having me on. These guys are fucking dope. Can't wait for the new shit to come in the future.
Well,
sure.
thank you. And I think we're going to peace out with this. It's been really long today. So I am David.
I'm Dalton.
And I'm Caden.
And this was At the Table. Have a great night.
Thank y'all so much. Have a good evening.
Well,